Coming up next on Tech News Today, Project Fi is like the trillion. No, wait, the pigeon of MVNOs. Does that make any sense? Also, a lot of key people are jumping off of the vine. Humanoid robots with pneumatic muscle systems, and Senator Al Franken wants to know if Pokémon Go is good for kids. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1553, recorded Tuesday, July 12th, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost automated investment service and the most sophisticated way to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or you're just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/TNT and sign up to get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/TNT. And by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter promo code TNT for 30% off your entire order. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk with people who are passionate about technology, about all the tech news that's hitting, whatever it happens to be. We've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm Jason Howell. Of course, Megan Maroney still out. I saw she tweeted out a picture from Mexico, and she's enjoying the beach, which makes me insanely jealous. But a close second to the beach is having today's guest on the show. And I mean that, Lindsey Turrentine from CNET.com. How's it going, Lindsey?
It's going well. I feel that Megan is taunting us with her photos.
It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of miserable, to be honest. And she's wondering whether she needs to return, to which I say, I would love for you to return, Megan, but honestly, if I were there, I probably wouldn't. So
yeah, it looks beautiful. I'm very happy for her.
We won't judge. We won't judge. We will just look forward to the time when we can enjoy the beach.
That's
It's going to be a long time for me. Let's talk about some tech news. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. Google's Project Fi just got a big boost by giving subscribers high-speed data access in 15 additional countries around the world, bringing the total number of foreign countries to more than 135. It's a new deal with 3, which is one of the largest European cell carriers, means that Fi is quickly becoming, I think, kind of like the trillion of cell phone service, hopping between mobile networks based on location as well as signal strength, kind of giving you access to all the benefits of all these different mobile networks wherever you happen to be. Google also announced that the speed cap while traveling overseas is being lifted. Project Fi makes me wish that I traveled because then I would have a reason to get it, I feel like. What do you think?
Absolutely a reason to get it. I was just in Europe a couple weeks ago. And I did I got a limited amount of data for a set amount of dollars, and I had to turn off data on most of my devices, constantly checking. It is no way to live. Mm-hmm. It's a pain in the butt. It's really expensive. And if I traveled overseas a lot, it would be a no-brainer reason to try Google Fi. Seriously. I read this and I was like, wow, we need that across the board. And if anything, just because it would push other carriers, hopefully over time, to start looking at new ways to do this, because it's frankly ridiculous.
And that's, I think, a big reason why Google does certain things like this, like Fiber, Google Fi, its Nexus program, for example. A lot of times what they're doing is they're trying to kind of set an example, show others, in whatever industry they happen to be doing this in, kind of an example of a better way, or at least a different way of doing it. Of course, the trick with Project Fi, and it's a pretty big trick, it's a pretty big kind of asterisk, is that you need to have a Nexus device, and not a lot of people have Nexus devices.
Nope. My son does.
Oh.
And I think that if you're really into the Google ecosystem and you're into trying this out, it's a pretty good motivation for the Nexus devices. Do not suck.
No.
So,
I love the Nexus devices.
You're into Google.
Yeah.
You don't mind Android. By all means. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. But I have to ask you, Jason, because you mentioned it in the intro here. Do people still know what trillion is?
I don't know. I actually wondered that when I put it into the little blurb there, but it was the best way that I could think in my brain.
Do.
Yes.
I know. But I am not young.
Hey, trillion was awesome in its time. What is the trillion of now? I don't know that there is one, but
I don't know. And for anybody who doesn't know what Trillion was, really awesome IM client.
yeah, like an IM multi-client essentially. So whatever you happen to be using, throw it all in there, and it was one thing that managed them all. I suppose that was and actually when you think of it that way, it's probably not a direct comparison to what Project Phi does, but it's still kind of the same.
I appreciate it though. I love talking about Trillion. That was cool.
Any opportunity we have to talk about Trillion, I promise we'll see if we can dig up some news. I don't even know if Trillion's around, to be honest. Microsoft has a new program it hopes will bring more Surface into the enterprise, Surface tablets, the whole Surface line. Announced at the company's worldwide partner conference. They call it Surface as a Service, and I dare you to say that 5 times very fast. It's not very easy. Surface as a Service, yeah, it just all blurs together. Businesses will be able to lease Surface devices, and with those is included subscriptions to Office 365 and Windows 10. You'll always get updated versions of each of those, the latest release, whatever it happens to be. So, I mean, it is exactly how it sounds. Surface as a Service. What do you think about this and kind of broadening market?
I think that if I were investing in business devices, I would take a serious look at this, partially because they're nice and, portable, good travel devices. And in a world where lots of businesses have been using things like MacBook Airs, this is kind of an easy but still pretty cool alternative to that and to deploying a bunch of Macs in your workplace, which has its own challenges. So I think it's really interesting. And you have some data here on the background that Surface went from $1 billion in revenue last year to $1 billion per quarter recently. That's huge. And I think that shows that there's demand for Surface in the workplace. So why not do this?
Right. Demand for Surface just in general and broadening it to the workplace. I mean, that's kind of Microsoft's strength right there. So it makes perfect sense that they would do that. They've been focusing on kind of evolving Surface from the consumer market into the enterprise market. This is not the first thing that they've done in that regard. They partnered with Dell and HP last year to bring Surface hardware through to commercial sales. And also part of this deal is with IBM and Booz Allen Hamilton, 2 partners that are going to kind of help integrate Surface in places like financial services, the public sector, government, all that kind of stuff. So, it makes perfect sense for Microsoft. I mean, this is the kind of thing they do, and Surface has been such a bright spot in their hardware efforts that it makes sense as well.
Well, and Microsoft has spent a lot of time talking about how it is now a service company, and it kind of always has been, really. So this all makes perfect sense. Like, take this one bright hardware spot, make it a service.
Yes.
There you go. Now, I don't see the same thing happening with Xbox.
I don't know. That's Xbox
is a service?
I think gamers could get into that maybe. Always have the updated, latest and greatest Xbox and all of the games.
If it came with all of the games.
I think this is unexplored territory. Maybe Microsoft is working on it behind the scenes, but I think it makes perfect sense.
Perhaps.
The Oculus Rift hasn't been the easiest VR headset in the world to secure. Neither of them really have, at least from the very beginning. Not impossible, just not easy, particularly if you did not drop in a pre-order the minute it was announced in January. Well, Oculus is now happy to announce the backlog of existing pre-orders is cleared. New units will now ship within 2 to 4 business days. I guess, early on they had kind of component shortages that slowed things down, even if you were pre-ordered. Now that's opened up. So now basically you've got Oculus Rift, you've got the HTC Vive, which is available for immediate shipping. The floodgates are open. You have no reason not to get in on VR, or have you already, Lindsey?
Okay, here's my thing. I don't buy the first generation of anything.
Got it.
So I'm not ready yet because I want everybody else. I know that there have been lots of betas. I still want other people to test this. And frankly, I want time for more and more content to get developed before I invest in this. But if you're really into it and you are an early adopter, go for it. I just want to give it it's not cheap. I want to give it a little time.
No, it's not cheap. And I mean, we're fortunate enough to work in places where we have kind of access to these things if we want to. So we can go play with it, see what the benefits are, see what we enjoy about it, and understand from a use case perspective whether it's actually worth plunking down, all the money to buy the hardware and then to buy the computer and piece the components together and everything.
Yeah, it is
A lot of
expensive.
people don't
And
have
also,
that.
I have children, and I have to. If I put that thing on, they would get away with anything, right? Like they'd be running amok behind the scenes because they'd be like, "Mom has it on."
See, I was thinking of the opposite, which is if you brought this into the house, you would never see them again because they would always be locked away.
We have an Xbox again.
Okay.
So, I, as it is,
You
I
already
spend enough
know.
time like tearing them away. Prices.
All right, fair enough.
They would love this. They would just be like, "Yeah, Mom, go put that thing on."
Oh, I would understand that completely, and I would be afraid to throw this on my 6-year-old's eyes because I don't think she'd ever want to take them off. As far as testing these VR devices, like I was saying, we have the ability to do this. Best Buy, by the end of the year, plans to have like 500 of their stores blanketed with the ability to test these VR products. So you got that to look forward to. And then I wonder what the timetable would then be for the next gen product whenever that happens to be down the line. You might be waiting a while, Lindsey. I don't know if they're going to be turning this around one new unit of every year. So
I might be waiting a while. It's true, but I think there are enough people developing it.
yeah,
There are so many different players here that there may be something other than Oculus that I want that requires less hardware setup.
PlayStation
I mean, that's
VR.
really the deal. I don't feel like maintaining this, and I would like it all to come in one easy package. So that's part of it.
Sure.
And, I think that the Best Buy setup is genius because most people can't really appreciate what VR is and what they're getting out of the experience until they try it. So I think actually that it's going to be a pretty effective way to move sales, and it's a smart way to approach selling Oculus.
For sure. Then the problem is getting, the kids to take the goggles off and go because we've got things to sell around here. This isn't an arcade for you. And finally, and I promise, no prolonged 15-minute segment devoted to Pokemon Go. We did that yesterday. That would keep you from Pokemon, of course. And I don't want to do that. But an update on yesterday's story that showed the iOS version was super permissive in sharing all kinds of Google data. The app is receiving an update today that's going to improve the account process and fix the account access issue for good. So, we were wondering yesterday why they were not open to really making a comment on it. Why did I suddenly blank the name of the dang company?
Niantic?
There we go, Niantic. I kept thinking Ingress, and I was like, get out of there, Ingress. I know it's not you. Why Niantic didn't want to make any comments on it, but here you go. They're doing the right thing.
They're doing the right thing. They actually told CNET yesterday, we discovered the Pokemon Go account creation process erroneously requests full access.
Okay.
And they said once we became aware of the error, we began working on a client-side fix to request permission for only basic Google profile information in line with the data that we actually access. So essentially what they're saying is we accidentally asked you for more than we needed. We weren't using it.
Sure.
Now, whether you believe them or not, I don't know. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I believe them. I mean, especially considering the fact that the Android, approach didn't have the same permissions grab, if you want to call it that. It really did seem like kind of a mistake more than anything. And they really wanted to get their communication in a row before they went on the record with anything. But that still didn't stop the attraction of some eyes, including Senator Al Franken, who's contacted Niantic with an official request for clarity on what kinds of data Pokemon Go generates for the company based on its terms of service and its privacy policy. Part of his request did have something to do, at least a little bit to do, with the iOS issue. But beyond that, he really wants to, understand what data Niantic gets, what does it actually need, what's required to run the game, and a focus on how this relates to kids who are obviously who are playing this game in droves, and kind of the idea of meaningful consent from parents. Are parents okay with the fact that their kids are putting this particular type of data out into the world?
Well, I think it's a really good question to ask. I mean, this is being used by all kinds of people, and I know so many adults who are obsessively playing this, but it is true that obviously they need to know where you are. And I don't know whether Niantic's keeping them.
Oh, sorry. I'll
Did
put
you
it away.
find anything?
No,
What level?
I did yesterday. I'm not going to do that again. It might be too distracting.
But, it's a very good question to ask. And Niantic used to be part of Google.
Yep.
And so Niantic definitely knows about big data. And we know that Google does a lot of interesting stuff with data. Niantic has to be thinking about the value of the data that it's collecting. So these are, I think, great questions for Senator Franken to be asking. And I am so glad that Senator Franken is a senator, because he gets it. He knows what questions to ask, and I think that's pretty cool.
Man, when Pokemon Go is a thing, he's on it. He's on it there from the beginning when everybody else is just sleeping in the Senate. He knows what's important. I mean, it's probably worth pointing out, this kind of stuff is not isolated to Niantic. Niantic, I keep saying Niantic. To Niantic, it just happens to be the game that suddenly everybody is paying a lot of attention to. There are plenty of games that probably kind of, run the same risks, whatever they are, or tie into what Senator Franken is concerned about. And I mean, because kids are playing these games all the time, I'm sure there are plenty of these permissions that are granted, data that's being shared about location and all this kind of stuff that really goes under the radar.
Absolutely. And, as much as these questions can drive a public conversation about what we share and what we don't, I think it's good to be asking. For sure. All right, coming up, Twitter's Vine has really lost momentum, I would say, and mind share, and now it's losing key personnel. But first, let's take a minute to thank Wealthfront. They are the sponsor of this episode. You invest for the long term, for you, your family's financial health, but trying to do it all yourself, especially the right way, is complex. It's time-consuming. It's difficult. Luckily, there's Wealthfront. Traditional advisors charge huge fees, between 1% to 3% of what they manage. With Wealthfront, you pay 1/4% a year. That's 25 basis points, 0 commissions, no hidden fees. It's less than $5 a month to invest a $30,000 account. There are no additional charges for any of Wealthfront's services. You can actually get started investing today with as little as $500. Now, unlike other financial advisors, Wealthfront won't bog you down with dozens of questions. They've simplified their risk identification process, and that allows you to begin investing sooner. It really only takes a couple of minutes to sign up. You go to wealthfront.com, goes right to work, monitoring your portfolios around the clock, takes action as soon as an opportunity arises. That's very important. Wealthfront portfolios are managed and based on modern portfolio theory. They're designed to adjust according to your personal risk tolerance and at the same time staying diversified and tax efficient. Wealthfront is transparent. It's accessible. You can view and track all your accounts in one place. Wealthfront can track both your Wealthfront and non-Wealthfront bank and brokerage accounts, and they'll provide that in a summary of all your assets to you. You can see every trade that Wealthfront makes on your behalf in your dashboard on your desktop or with the mobile app. And Wealthfront recently introduced their 529 college savings plan, allowing you to invest after-tax dollars, much like a Roth IRA, and save for your child or grandchild's higher education expenses. Wealthfront manages almost $3 billion in client assets, and it's growing rapidly every day. So you have no reason to wait. Invest in your future today with Wealthfront. Visit wealthfront.com/TNT. You can sign up and get a free personalized investment portfolio. You'll see the customized allocation that they recommend for your profile. And just for Twit listeners, if you sign up to invest, Wealthfront will manage your first $15,000 entirely free of charge for life. Join the many Twit fans who've seen huge success with Wealthfront and claim your offer today. Just go to wealthfront.com/TNT to check it out. All right, remember Vine? It's kind of become a little easy to forget. What do you think, Lindsey? Has it kind of dropped off the radar a little bit? I remember it, but frankly, it's been a long, long time since I logged in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, joining us to talk about Vine's future is Kurt Wagner from Recode. How's it going, Kurt?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Awesome. It's great to get you back. You wrote an article today about Twitter's, their short-form video product that is Vine. Seems to be pointing to a whole lot of, kind of fracturing happening. What's happened during the past few months?
Yeah, the service, which kind of operates as like a standalone startup, if you will, inside of Twitter. They have an office in New York, whereas Twitter's headquarters are in San Francisco. The company is not doing so well. A bunch of their top product and business folks have left in the last couple months. They just brought in a new GM to kind of oversee all of Vine. She just started in May, and a lot of people have been leaving since then. And I don't think it's necessarily specific to her so much as it's specific to the idea of bringing in someone new. And a lot of these, folks are just kind of ready to leave and jump ship. And a big reason is because Vine is no longer growing. This app is, not only have we heard that from former employees who were just there, but we pulled some of the new ComScore metrics, and they show that the user base is kind of shrinking for Vine. So not really a great place to work at the moment, and a lot of people are on their way out.
Oh, sorry, Lindsey, did you have something?
I have. Well, my question is the problem just sort of never going to go away? Because now that Twitter will let you upload your own video, is there even a need for Vine? Vine seemed to solve a very specific problem about providing video content when the concept was still pretty new for Twitter. And now it doesn't seem like a necessary part of developing that ecosystem on Twitter.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember when Vine first Twitter kind of rolled out the idea of native video, right? Like uploading directly to Twitter. I asked the same question, like, is this going to cannibalize Vine, right? Why would you go post something on a much smaller network when you could just go directly to Twitter and reach, 300 million people versus whatever size audience Vine has? And the response at the time, right, was that Vine is unique. It's only these 6-second videos. It's a looping thing, and there's a lot of young people who are consuming the video and also creating it. I don't think that's really the case anymore. I think that what we've seen is a transition away from this like short looping video to just video more broadly. Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, they're all doing this, and live video especially has become important thanks to Facebook and what Periscope is trying to do. So I just don't know if there's really a need for a place like Vine at the moment, given all the other alternatives, including Twitter. And I think in some ways they may have kind of cannibalized their own audience a little bit. And really the big issue is that a lot of the people who used to go to Vine to watch these Vine stars, like these super creators, they've moved on to other platforms like Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube. So if you're not going there to, watch really great stuff, what are you going there for?
And have they moved on primarily because it's easier to monetize in those places versus what they kind of, worked up from with Vine?
I think that was certainly an issue. I think there's a lot of creators with Vine who kind of felt either neglected or even disrespected at times because they were able to make money on other platforms and Vine was not offering them that. And so, the argument from Vine has always been, well, there's been a few different waves of Vine stars who have come through and then gone on to other things. And as long as there's always another wave of kind of Vine celebrities coming up through the pipeline, then that's okay. Like, it's okay for someone to jump from Vine to YouTube or even to Hollywood. We've seen a few of these Vine stars get into commercials and TV shows. The issue is like, how many times can you cycle through these stars and send them somewhere else, because their audiences oftentimes go with them. And so I think at this point, that's kind of what we've seen is like a transition of some of these big Vine stars bringing their audience with them to competitors. And obviously that's no good for Vine or Twitter.
And it seems like if you were going to get started now, if you were sort of chomping at the bit to become an internet celebrity of some kind, you wouldn't start with Vine now. So it sort of seems like they're trying to hold on to what you have. But if you're going to get a start now, Snapchat.
I think you're right. I talked, this has now been probably a month and a half or so ago, but I talked to a kind of a big time exec in the entertainment industry, someone who represents a lot of these folks, and was asking him, what are the thoughts on Vine? And he was basically like, we can't get our stars off of Vine fast enough. It was a very telling conversation to hear someone just so blatantly kind of not only just say, well, it's one of many places we try to be. I mean, he was actively trying to get his clients off of the platform. And, that's only one person, but it was someone that it really struck me as an important transition period. And I don't know how Vine kind of wins those folks back.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't seem like Vine is part of the conversation when you're talking about these kind of, these services that are lighting people's, their efforts and illuminating them in such a way that, that is beneficial to them, let's say. So then the future of Vine, which I guess no one really knows the answer to right now, but Twitter has all these kind of disparate services happening alongside Twitter. Does Vine get folded in, do you think? Or, what happens to it?
Well, it's a good question, and one that I don't really have a super strong answer for. I mean, we were trying to figure out exactly how big Vine is. We had difficulty getting any hard numbers from inside the company, but, ComScore put it, I want to say at around 25 million, 24 million, I believe, active monthly users. So it's not as if it's a non-existent platform, right? I mean, 24 million people, if that's indeed the case, that's still a lot of people who watch Vine videos every month.
Sure.
I think the issue is like, if it's slowing down, if it is shrinking, you want to be sure that you don't lose those 24 million people altogether, right? So how do you make sure that if they're no longer going to come to Vine, they're at least turning to Twitter or Periscope or some other video option that Twitter offers, because you don't want to have built that audience and then see them all go to someone else that's not you. So I would be surprised if Vine just like disappears. I think that the idea of it folding into Twitter or somehow combining with Twitter or Periscope in some way makes more sense. I don't think a company like Twitter necessarily needs 3 distinct video platforms.
Right.
And so I think of the 3, Vine seems like the odd person out that would probably somehow blend into one of the other 2.
Sure. Now, speaking of video, we've also discussed yesterday and last week as well how Twitter, has been accelerating its second screen video products suddenly with Wimbledon, and then yesterday we heard the announcement of even more partnerships. Today they announced a new partnership with Bloomberg. What's this deal all about?
Yeah, so they're going to stream 3 of Bloomberg's daily news shows, and so what that means is, you'll be able to go to Twitter, watch the show from Bloomberg. It'll be Bloomberg Stream, and you'll be able to both tweet but also follow along what other people are tweeting about the show, all kind of on one screen. And it's a very similar setup to what Twitter has in place for a deal with the NFL. Later this fall, they're going to stream 10 Thursday night football games from CBS and NBC. And so this is just one of what appears to be many deals Twitter's trying to get to bring TV-like live content directly onto Twitter, try and capture people who like watching TV but maybe won't be in front of a TV. So maybe you're on the bus or you're in the car or whatever. You have a phone or a tablet, but you're not in front of a television. Maybe you would tune in through Twitter and watch and participate in the conversation all in one place. So that's kind of what they want to do, and they're hoping that's going to jumpstart their user growth as well.
So Kurt, this makes a lot of sense to me from a sort of a user standpoint. And when I read this, my first thought was, oh, this makes perfect sense for Bloomberg, because Bloomberg is probably losing a little Bloomberg terminal traffic to Twitter, right? Traders and people who use Bloomberg data who are actually just kind of sitting and watching Twitter. So they might as well capture them when they're already sitting with Twitter doing their job. So from a user and audience building standpoint, it seems to make sense for both parties. But who makes money here? I guess that's my question. Who's making the money in this partnership?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in this specific partnership, they will sell ads against these shows, these streams, and it will be, what I'm told, is a split kind of similar to what Twitter does with its Amplify video ad product right now. So how Amplify works is, say you're the NBA, you want to show 100 different NBA highlights on Twitter throughout the week. You can run short little, 5-second pre-roll ads ahead of each highlight. Twitter will take 30% of the ad revenue, and the NBA in this case would keep 70%. So my understanding is that 30-70 split is the same general, somewhere around there that Twitter and Bloomberg came together. So when they sell ads that are going to be both in-stream, but also similarly, pre-roll ads to highlights for these shows, they're going to split the ad revenue that way. So there is an opportunity for Twitter to make some revenue here. But my guess, with the NFL deal, for example, Twitter actually had to pay to get those streaming rights. I imagine they're doing the same with CBS to try, and they're going to stream the conventions, both the Republican and Democratic national conventions later this month. So, these rights not only cost money, but then they're also splitting revenue with the actual rights holders. So how lucrative this will be for Twitter is kind of a TBD situation, but there is a scenario in which they could make, some good money if they have enough of these streams and if they sell enough advertising. We just don't know if they're going to be able to do that yet.
I enjoyed watching the kind of the Wimbledon coverage side by side. Like it was a simple environment. It was about as simple as it gets, like split screen, here's the video, here's the Twitter feed or whatever. But having them in the same space was really a nice experience. I could almost imagine at some point this platform being open for anyone to take advantage of it. I don't know how Twitter ends up making money in that regard, but it really seems like the kind of thing where even, just like independent, podcasters, let's say, I want to put my video up there and have the Twitter feed kind of to engage with, and people can choose to watch it in that environment. I feel like the more we see about this, the more that makes a lot of sense.
Jason, really that sounds kind of like Facebook Live.
I know, it's kind of weird. They all blur together, don't they?
It kind of feels like YouTube missed the boat on this, right? I mean,
yeah.
I watched how Twitter set this up. And I agree. I actually found the simplicity of it a lot more charming than I thought I would. I like the idea of just simply being able to scroll through tweets, keep the video pinned to the top of the screen, super simple. But I was also like, man, how did YouTube miss out on this, right? I mean, they were years ahead of Facebook and Twitter to video, and it seems like this would have been a ripe opportunity for them. Maybe that just goes to show you, maybe this is not as great of a business as we think it is. I guess we'll find out. Or maybe YouTube truly did just miss the boat, but it did feel YouTube-esque to me when I was watching it. So perhaps we'll see others try to do this as well.
Google hasn't been particularly great at social network anything.
Sure.
So it's possible that just as a sort of way of thinking, the very, very senior levels, YouTube just missed the boat because that's not how they think.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point. Twitter is much better socially around these events. Like, I don't go to YouTube to see what people are saying about the Super Bowl, right? I go to Twitter. So you're right. This is definitely, it fits in with Twitter's MO. We'll see if they can make it an actual business, and it seems like they're going to give it a good go. So we'll find out.
I know I will be watching the football because I don't have TV at home, so that'll be like
works for you.
That'll be a game that works for me. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us, Kurt Wagner, Recode. Where can people follow your work online?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at KurtWagner8, but you can read all of my stuff and my colleagues' great work at recode.net.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Kurt. Have a great night.
Adios, guys. Thank you.
All right, see you
Bye.
later. All right, up next, we're going to take a look at some robot advancements and some other cool things from CNET's Crave blog and beyond. But first, let's take a minute to thank Tracker, the sponsor of this episode. With advancements in technology, we have smart cars, smartphones, smart homes. Losing your possessions can make you feel not so smart. Well, Tracker makes losing things a thing of the past. How many times do I walk through the door, I throw my keys somewhere, and then when it's actually time to find them to leave the house, I have no clue what I did with them. I have no idea where they went. One of my kids could have, hijacked them and hid them under a pillow. I don't know. Trackers are perfect for this. You can attach it to your key ring, forget about it, literally, and then you can find it. It's very easy to do. The coin-sized device locates keys, wallets, computers, pets in seconds. Tracker Bravo is constructed with an anodized aluminum for the thinnest, most durable tracking. You can pair the tracker to your iOS or Android device, attach it to anything with a key loop or adhesive. You can find its precise location with the tap of a button. It's really just that easy. You can also customize two-way separation alerts. That way you're going to receive notifications before you leave your item behind. And if you happen to lose your phone, it works in the other direction. You press the button on the tracker and your phone will ring even when it's set to silent at that point. With over 1.5 million devices, Tracker has the largest crowd GPS network in the world, so your lost item shows up on a map, even if it's miles away. And if an item goes missing, the Tracker app records its last known location on a map. And then when another Tracker user comes within a 100-foot range of your lost item, you are going to receive a GPS update of where your item is located. Your phone can track up to 10 devices at once. Tracker is enabled by Bluetooth Low Energy, so the battery actually lasts up to a full year. Water-resistant cases are also available for purchase. That's perfect for things like pet collars, that sort of stuff. You can even add a laser-engraved message to each Tracker Bravo. You can put your pet information on there. See, it's the perfect pet tag. Tracker recently introduced Tracker Atlas, which works with your Tracker Bravo or third-party Bluetooth tracker to pinpoint your items on a customizable floor plan of your home. So you'll save time, you'll save your energy by simply asking Tracker Atlas where your keys are. And then if your kids did, in fact, hijack them and put them under a pillow, they're easy to find. No need to search. Go to thetracker.com and never lose your possessions again. Plus, just for our audience, if you enter promo code TNT, you're going to get 30% off your entire order. That's TheTracker.com, promo code TNT for 30% off your entire Tracker order. And we thank Tracker for their support. All right, so Lindsey, let's take a few minutes to check out some kind of interesting things from the CNET side. I went digging earlier today and came up with a couple of really interesting things. This first one's from CNET's Crave. It's a research team in Japan who's developed a new type of muscular movement system for, they're kind of designing this for humanoid robots. They use bundles of small fiber tubes that actuate pneumatically to fire off the muscles required to do things like walk and perform all sorts of other movements. And when you watch the video, it really just kind of replicates how muscles work, how fibers work.
Yeah,
so cool.
You kind of have to see this,
yeah,
understand it, but it's It's not the pneumatic tubes that you used to encounter like in the department store if you're over 40 when you were a kid.
Right. Don't see those
these
much
aren't
anymore.
large tubes. These are lots, like big bundles of tiny tubes that really do look like muscle groups attached to this skeleton. And I love the way our writer Michelle Starr wrote it up. She said the project is ongoing, which is great, because we didn't know how badly the world needed friendly robotic skeletons until we saw this video. Yeah, I mean, the need for humanoid robots is questionable.
Right.
But if this is going to happen anywhere, it's going to be in Japan.
Yes.
And it's really crazy cool.
I mean, this is just confirmation that robotics, more and more, like just the idea of forming a humanoid robot after what we know about kind of the human form, and they're doing this with the brain, with AI and all that kind of stuff, and they're doing it with movement, with this sort of thing, kind of replicating the fibers. It's just such a crazy kind of world that we're going to live in. I think 100 years down the line when we've perfected all this stuff.
You think it's going to take 100 years?
No, I'm just saying in 100 years is going to be really crazy.
That's true. I don't. Cylon Jason, I will not be able to tell the difference.
I mean, 100 years is going to be beyond the point where we've actually cracked this nut in a lot of ways. That's going to be where it's just like normalcy, and this is just life.
Yeah, or not.
Or not. Yes, exactly. Maybe robots will occupy the earth, and we won't be around anymore.
Life.
New type of life. So I like robots. I like beer. So it makes sense that I would want to see a robot brewery. A company called Intelligent X is offering 4 beers to consumers. You'll be able to get them on the internet. Amber AI, Black AI, Golden AI, and Pale AI. Once someone drinks one of the beers, that someone will tell Intelligent X what they liked, what they didn't like about what they tasted. And in true AI fashion, the automated brewing intelligence, or ABI as they call it, takes that information and advises on changes with the brewer for the next batch. So
okay.
Yes.
I am a cynic here.
Okay.
And I know that this is a wonderful, fun CNET story, but I read this story back when it published and went like, that sounds like somebody is collecting survey data and handing it to the brewer. How is that AI? It's just a well-marketed way to collect survey data.
Okay. Well, here's how it's AI, supposedly, is that if a tweak is made and then more people end up liking the beer as a result, then the AI would I suppose understand that was in fact a good idea and go more in that direction. And I suppose that would happen in the opposite direction. But I see what you're saying.
That would also happen with sales data.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Like
very
people
similar.
drink it, but they don't.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe the story here is less that it's actual AI and more that it's you can change the taste of this beer depending on if you like it or not.
Yeah.
That's really what we're talking about.
It's an easier way. Like, this is a fun way to say, I hate this beer, or I love this beer, or meh.
Make it better. Seriously, this pale AI is not good enough. Now you have the chance.
If the robot could actually brew the beer and bring it to me whenever I want it,
that's going to happen.
I would be super impressed.
I think that's good.
Maybe that wouldn't be very good for me.
Exactly. But I'd sign up for that. I'd do that. Now, finally, normally our hamsters just kind of run around in their little hamster wheels and all that energy is wasted energy. I mean, sure, it's good for the hamster, but how can we harness that and turn it into something beautiful for us, because it's all about us. Artist Neil Mendoza created a device that puts Joji or Hoji, I'm not quite sure, the hamster to work. As Joji runs on the hamster wheel, a Raspberry Pi interprets that motion and turns it into a motor control signal that's sent to a machine made of plywood and aluminum. And ultimately what this does is the mechanics of the whole machine end up drawing a picture of a hamster as Joji runs on the hamster wheel. So the hamster is drawing a picture of a hamster. This is the future.
This is great. And Neil Mendoza, the artist, said the device is, quote, finally bringing workout selfies to the animal kingdom.
Finally.
I love it.
We've all asked for this many times. We've all asked for this,
especially the hamsters. The hamsters are like, I really want to show off my abs.
Very cool. So I should dispel one myth here, which is that they're not actually putting the hamster to work. There is no resistance on the hamster wheel. So it's not the actual like muscle power of the hamster that is driving the mechanics, that are happening. It's the detected motion of the hamster wheel. So the hamster would be, in its natural environment, it would already be running on a hamster wheel.
Yes.
Out in nature. So
it loves this wheel. It's doing it all on its own.
Exactly.
This point, the article points out that all the artistic labor is completely voluntary.
Yes.
From the perspective of the hamster, there is no hamster labor camp going on here.
Yes, we want to be very clear. We're not putting hamsters to work. They're just running in hamster wheels the way they always
like
do.
running.
Yeah, that's why they walk into the stores and buy the hamster wheels and bring them home.
Pretty cool. I would buy one of these hamster arts just so I could put on my wall and say hamster made the hamster art.
Exactly. It actually reminded me of something I saw at Google I/O this summer, where you could go there very early and they'd take a picture of you. And then they had this it actually looked very similar to this. They had this whole system set up where it was like these pieces of yarn hanging down and a little pen attached to the yarn, and it would and so it was suspended a little bit. So you got a little bit of movement, and it would interpret your picture and draw a portrait of you based on this like suspended pen in the middle. It made this very kind of interesting, unique looking portrait of you. And I don't know, it's kind of cool. It reminds me of this. So I would have that on my wall, and I would have the hamster art on my wall. So there you go.
Super.
Lindsey Turrentine, I know you have to run. I don't want to keep you any longer. You got to go, but always love having you on the show. And thank you so much for joining us today. Tell people.
It's super fun to be here.
Yeah, tell people where they can find all the things you do.
Well, you can obviously go to cnet.com. That is my baby. But you can also follow me at Turrentine on Twitter.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lindsey. Have a wonderful
Jason.
night.
This is really fun. All right, you too.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, TNT's fan of the day is at Reg Lee Daily Life on Twitter, who says, I listen to TNT when walking a dog from my dog walking business in Cheltenham in UK. Dog's name is Arthur, which we can kind of see Arthur there. We got a lower. Oh, that's a cute dog. I need to get a dog. I wonder actually if you're going to now walk around with Pokemon Go and also work in other ways while you're walking the dog. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT, or how you walk the dog and listen to TNT. Just record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we will find it. Finally, as if we haven't shown off enough cool robo-style doodads, one more might help you become a better gardener. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They are the sponsor of this episode. If you've bought a house, then I don't need to remind you of the process. Of, the whole part where you actually own the house is awesome. After it's all done, it's pretty awesome. That part, great. But getting there, that's a challenge. All the paperwork, all those details to gather. Personally, my brain has a hard time organizing all that stuff, so it was not a cakewalk for me. Thankfully, I have my wife, and she helped me through it. But we made it, but it was not easy. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. If you hate searching through stacks of old files and paperwork to find the information that you need, well, that's what Rocket Mortgage is kind of all about. You can easily share your bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button. You don't have to go through all those files yourself, helping you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. Even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this on your phone or tablet. It's a quick online process you can manage from the convenience of your couch. That certainly was not that easy when I got a mortgage. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and NMLSconsumeraccess.org, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. All right, so yesterday, Jonathan Strickland was on, and we discussed how open source 3D printing was opening the doors for prosthetics. And today, I present to you open source robotics for gardening. The FarmBot Genesis is what you see here. It allows anyone to build so first you build a planter box. You figure out how large it's going to be and all of this gardening that's happening for you. FarmBot is going to operate in that space. It moves in the X, Y, and Z space. And it can plant in any pattern, any density that you choose. It waters based on the exact amounts that each plant needs, as well as your own preferences. So you can really kind of hone this in, dial it into to what you need. FarmBot has an onboard camera, and that allows it to kind of monitor the garden. It can detect weeds as they appear. And when it sees a weed, it actually shows later in the video, I can't remember where exactly, but when it sees a weed, it buries them, which I didn't know that's what you could do to weeds. I thought you pulled them, but it just like pushes it down and buries it. So I think I learned something from GardenBot. Soil sensor that actually analyzes soil and efficiency with every season, so you can improve season after season. You can control it on the web. It doesn't require any coding or anything like that. It has a web interface, so you can go in there. You can do things like custom sequences for seed injection, for watering. It has a drag and drop farm designer, which I thought was pretty cool, kind of like you would have a game on your tablet where you have the space that you've mapped out, and you bring over little icons for the different vegetables and where you want them. And it manages this all for you. And basically you put it together. So it's a kit run off of a Raspberry Pi and our Arduino microcontroller. And, it's made of aluminum, stainless steel, and plastic. So it's meant to kind of handle the elements. I just thought this was really cool. I actually built a planter box for our house a couple of months ago, and our garden, it's such a challenge kind of keeping this going. But why? When there's GardenBot, it only runs you $3,900. Although if you get it during June or during this month, you'll get it for $2,900. So you get you get $1,000 off. But this is awesome. I want one of these in my backyard. Kind of nerdy, but hey, it's like the robot is creating your food for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tomorrow's guest will be Ron Richards from All About Android. I'm actually going to be doing a show with Ron here in a few minutes. We've got a show tonight. He's going to come back tomorrow and talk about all the tech news with me on tomorrow's show. So stay tuned for that. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW, and you can hit us up on Twitter. We are at Tech News Today TV. And of course, all the ways to subscribe to us can be found at twit.tv/TNT. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole. Thanks to Greg for the words. And I'm happy that his arm is out of a sling. And thanks to you for talking tech with us. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Have yourself. Clap.